Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all fandoms, welcome to the Ferret and Raccoon podcast, episode 115. I am the Angry Raccoon.
And I am Recess.
And we are back for, I believe, this is going to be the last podcast of May, maybe?
Ooh.
I think it is. We're almost at the halfway point of this year, regardless.
Yeah.
So everyone get your best of 2019's so far lists done. That was kind of like a fractured sentence, wasn't it?
But it made sense, so it's good.
Technically it did. But yeah, how's it going, Recess?
Yeah, no, it's good. Not bad.
It's been a while. It's been... The last podcast you were on was episode 108.
Wow, it's been a while.
So it's been a while, but it's not too long, though.
No.
You've, in terms of appearances from other people who are more familiar to the podcast, you're in the lead.
Okay.
With 2 appearances.
That.
You know, I'm still, supreme king of like appearances.
Naturally.
Appearing on literally 114 episodes.
Wow.
But it's not about the count. But yeah, I mean, things have been pretty crazy for the most part over the last weeks or so. It's been pretty hot in England.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised by.
Beautiful.
And now it's gone now for a little bit.
Yeah, it went as of yesterday.
Yeah, which I welcome the change because it's been a bit much. Given certain predicaments, it's been quite tricky to get work done in such hot weather.
Yeah.
But I'm always happy to see a bit of rain because it means I can relax. So what have you been up to over the last few weeks then, Recess?
Yeah, last few weeks. Something I really want to talk about actually is Detective Pikachu.
Oh, you've seen it?
So I caught that. Yeah.
Oh,
have you seen it?
I like the pun right there. You caught that?
Gotta catch them all.
Yeah.
Did you watch it?
No.
No. I enjoyed it for the most part.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. There were a lot less Pokemon battles than I thought, but they kind of addressed that, so that's cool in a sense.
Within the film or like...
Within the film,
okay.
Yeah. You do get to see some, but there aren't many.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that really spoiled it for me, though, was the ending.
Oh, okay.
Now, probably halfway through the movie, I kind of envisioned at least 2 more movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably not going to go down like that.
Okay.
Purely from the end, literally the last 10 minutes maybe of the movie, I'm like, okay, well, they've killed that. So that was a big downer. I'd still recommend going to see it.
So would you
enjoyable.
So would you want more sequels then?
I think so, yeah. I think in my mind there was potential for a lot more success. There were a few times the movie felt a bit rushed and a bit, okay, why did they do that? There wasn't really an explanation for the main villain's actions, but overall it was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find that interesting. I don't know anything about this film other than what I've seen in the trailers and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting to actually hear someone talk about it other than like children, like just it's so good.
That's the thing. I think children would enjoy it. They'd love it.
I'm sure they would, yeah.
But there were a few questions that were left unanswered.
And I'm interested in that you're saying that they basically killed off the potential of all sequels, especially in this day and age where like everyone is like, we've got all 18 films planned out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
I mean, if they do make a sequel, it would be interesting to see what road they go down because it's going to be different from what I imagined.
Okay, fair enough. But just to add a quick point, I would imagine the main reason why they may have like wanted to put like a massive full stop would possibly because they don't know if it was going to be successful.
Right.
And also, I mean, it's based on a video game. Detective Pikachu is a game itself. Yeah. And I think the third reason being it's a video game adaptation. They probably wouldn't really know where the hell to go. This is they probably always intended this to be as this is the Pokemon movie. This is the one-off. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. But see, I think if they had that in mind, I think it should have been bigger. So I don't know. It was good though. It was good.
Interesting.
I like the little Pokemon cameos as well. Just in the corner. Oh look, there's Pidgey. It was cool.
You're probably gonna get that one person. Someone, oh look, it's Thingy. Oh, that Pokemon's overpowered.
Yeah.
Oh, that Pokemon shouldn't be here. He's and all that kind of stuff. The kids are probably... Yeah, I'm sure a lot of kids will enjoy it. I've heard positive things about it. I've been dodging them spoilers like I've been dodging endgame spoilers.
Okay.
Because people don't know how to keep their lips shut a lot of the time.
Honestly, I was on the train home from work. No spoilers. People behind me talking about, what was it? It was Game of Thrones, actually. I'm like,
oh no,
why are you talking about Game of Thrones in a public place? Like, don't do this to me.
No,
I had to quickly draw from them earphones. I was like, no. Volume full blast.
Oh geez, yeah, I've had situations like that, like I did over here. I don't know if they were talking about Endgame, but I think it was Infinity War, and they were, I think, talking about the ending exactly, like two children, and I'm like, you need to like not, just in case. Because I'll be honest, I don't know anything about Endgame.
Yeah, okay, that's anything. Good.
Still, I don't know anything.
No, you've done well.
All I know is the film released.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Or you think it's released.
Maybe, I don't know. You know, maybe we're living in some kind of Twilight Zone-esque world where it's like I'm the only. I don't know. Where this is a Black Mirror episode where we're writing right now.
Boom.
Have you heard about that film that doesn't exist that came out but only you can't see it?
Can you imagine?
Oh man, Charlie Brooker is like taking notes. Like, Wait, is that all you managed to watch over the last
Apart
few
from
weeks?
that, I've been keeping up with Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah.
So that's been good. Obviously, last final season. Yeah, that's been enjoyable. Last episode was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, there's I've heard controversies about the last episode. Don't know what happened, but
apparently it's the worst rated Game of Thrones episode ever. I haven't checked it out, but
really,
yeah, I was like, whoa, okay.
People must be really upset with what's written in stone.
That's
given that it's based on the books. But okay.
Again, it had some good elements, but yeah, one scene in particular was just like, oh, that happened. Okay, cool.
Moving on. We still got 39 minutes left of this episode.
Yeah, boom. But yeah, people have been signing petitions to get them to redo the episode or something. I'm like, God. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't go that far, but hey, is what it is.
I guess, yeah.
So it's a TV show,
I'm surprised, but then again, it's like one of the more must-watched and watched things of this year. So I can understand a lot of people are going to voice an opinion, even if it was, let's say, a smaller show. You probably would get the same thing. It's just people wouldn't feel as a diehard about it because I guess people have been following this show for so many years. That's so true. They're like, oh, it's personal to me.
8 years now. Yeah.
8 years, yeah.
But then there's one episode left, so that should be good.
Oh, is there? I thought it was finished.
No, Monday's one's the last one.
Oh, okay. So the day this podcast goes up is the final episode. Fair enough. Okay, well that's cool. So you've been keeping up with the new hotness, so to say.
Keeping up with everything but the Kardashians.
Oh, references.
Music though, I do want to mention
Ari
Lennox because her album goes in. I'd say it's R&B soul, but I pretty much had that on repeat. But yeah, no, it's really, really good actually.
Okay.
Yeah. I think BMO is my favourite one.
Album song.
Favourite song.
Okay. Sorry, I don't.
Song on the album.
I don't really know of the artist, so I wasn't sure what exactly you were.
What? I didn't. So I found out about her through Creed 2, that movie, because her and J. Cole did a song, and I was like, "Oh, what is this?" So I checked out. It was her song, and then found out her album.
And then you removed J. Cole from.
And then I removed J. Cole.
It was like, is there a version without J. Cole? Oh, there is. It's called the good version.
Out. But no, check that album out. Apart from that, music-wise, I haven't been on it. Have got a recommendation from Raccoon himself.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna check out Tyler the Creator's one. Igor,
yeah. Although according to Tyler the Creator, I guess is where I can segue and do my thing, which is very nice, very smooth. Apparently, it's pronounced more Igor, as in like 3 E's.
Right.
So yeah, his 5th studio album just dropped. Less than 72 hours at the time of this podcast going up on Monday.
Wow.
So it's pretty damn fresh. And I've listened to it about twice at the time of this very moment that I'm speaking to you right now. So I probably would have listened to it a few more times because I do actually really like it. I can't really give you an exact quote, but all I really will say is that it's very experimentally ambitious and is extremely varied in terms of instrumentation, in terms of the way his voice and the way his singing / rapping and the way others are presented. It's definitely unfiltered but filtered at the same time,
right,
to some extent, where you really do kind of hear that there's no like mic filter over the mic.
Right, yeah.
But at the same time, it sounds like he's not even recording it through a mic, almost as if he's like recording it through a phone or something like that.
Nice.
To some extent.
Yeah.
So it feels very raw and it's very in your face, but at the same time, it's very kind of personal and emotional in some moments where the instrumentation becomes a little bit more softer and beautiful. But then there's points where it's like hard bass boom and just like in your face, where you're like, oh Lord, it's the tune. The term fire would definitely be appropriate with a lot of the beats.
You said it wasn't necessarily a rap album as well.
I don't think it really is a rap album because he's hardly rapping a lot on it, and even then it's like, once again, very muffled to some extent. It's not unintangible like a trap album, but it's you get it, you get the whole idea. It's very intentionally lo-fi, maybe to some extent amateuristic, very like love-strucken to some extent. That's kind of like a film I'm getting, where it's very much like this might be the kind of album that you might record if you really love somebody or really fell out with somebody in terms of relationship, and you just kind of there was literally a song where it's like, I think it's literally called I Don't Love You Anymore. Okay. And it probably has one of my favorite instrumentals, because there's this weird I'm not even sure, I don't think it's a sample, but it's like a vocal point where it's like this really chopped and altered bit of dialogue of someone in a very high-pitched but bassy voice saying I don't love you anymore. Okay. And each time it gets a little bit more freakish and high-pitched to the point where it's almost screaming that exact line, which I think is very appropriate, given if you are literally telling someone I don't love you anymore, you might literally be saying
how do you get the message across?
Exactly. And I did think that's very interesting. But a lot of the songs are very interesting, especially the way the album ends, which almost ends on a kind of soul ballad. Wow. Which is quite interesting. But then there's like really club bangers. It's to some extent electronic, and it's always changing. It's always progression.
Very varied then.
It is extremely varied. I mean, there are, I think I played you the teaser tracks. Yeah. And I've said just before it really cuts off, the experimentation of the instruments always change. Like there's points where, pianos are being introduced, electronic, like drums are being introduced all the time. And it doesn't feel gimmicky either. It feels intentional. It feels like there's an actual progression to what's happening in the song, what's happening in the album. And some of the features are pretty interesting as well. Little Uzi Vert, who I do not like, but I think he works well sounding in this song. Cardi B, which I don't mind. He sounds great. Surprisingly, Kanye West is on this with a very emotional and interesting kind of performance on there, as well as a few others which cannot be confirmed, but there is a very interesting Al Green sample which I really did like the use of. So I would recommend it if you definitely want to hear not a rap album but something different.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, if you listen to the Solange album, When I Come Home, I believe that's what it's called.
I think so, yeah.
You'll probably like this as well if you like that, because we both like that new Solange album. I think we're the only two people who like it.
Yeah, I mean, it took. I think it was my third listen. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I think I get it.
For me, it was like halfway through where I was like, yeah, I'm feeling this.
Yeah, no, it took a while for me, but I'm there. I got there.
Got there in the end.
But no, I enjoyed that one too.
It's a good stuff. And the only other thing I want to talk about is I finally got round to watching the TV series that should essentially be a dream come true to me, and that is Love, Death and Robots, which is the adult-orientated animated anthology series basing around the concepts of love, death and robots, or really just sci-fi and death, to be blunt. I watched the whole series and I honestly didn't like it. I thought it was honestly a waste of time, which is extremely painful for me to say, because I really, really, really wanted to love this series, and I cannot bring myself to love such unoriginal concepts and such. It's just a mess, honestly. Now, anthologies are typically like that. They are meant to be varied. They are going to be all over the place. There's going to be inconsistencies. You're going to have animations or shorts that are going to be better than others. Yeah. But the sheer scale of uncreativity on a lot of these, the fact that a lot of people went in with the intention of, oh, we got to have literally love, death and robots in our animation, otherwise that's the criteria, next to animations which just do their own thing, is just baffling. The biggest problem with this series is the fact that a lot of people have been given a bit of a budget. They've been given a small brief, being Love, Death and Robots, as well as basically creative freedom and outlet to showcase their work, and they decide to make a unoriginal generic CGI animation that just mimics real life. And I do not understand.
And that's happened a lot, you said.
There's at least 7 episodes that all look the same, which I could play you all in a row, and I could say one person animated that, and you go, wow, they're a good animator. When it's like 7 different people's, and I'm like, what is going on? It's ridiculous. And it's a massive shame. Do not waste my time with a second season, but at the same time, to give the series some credit, there are 3.5 good episodes, and I honestly do hope that every single person that animated something on this series goes on to do something great, because I think in terms of animation, yes, there is good animation here. Style, uniqueness, originality, character designs, poor for the most part, but I think hopefully everyone goes off to do something good, whether they're going to be in a bigger film, do their own project. So I give them thumbs up to that. But overall, it's not worth my time. I honestly do think that a lot of people who are giving this series praise don't know enough about film and animation and style. And that is straight up an insult. You lack understanding, and that still, because I've noticed the people who actually do understand animation go, this show is rubbish. And I notice a lot of people who don't know too much about animation think it's the greatest thing ever. You need to level up before you come tell me about how you know animation, because you do not, simply put. But let's move on to the main...
So, all in all, not good.
No, I wouldn't recommend it. I would only recommend 3 episodes. The episode The Witness, which I believe is episode 4. Zami Blue, which I believe is episode 14. What's the 3rd episode that's actually pretty good? I can't remember, because
the alternate histories one you said, or no?
The alternate histories one is like my 3.5.
Okay.
I guess the episode The Dump, that feels like a weird like Disney film. So I'd recommend those 3 films. Nothing else is worth watching, in my opinion. It's one of those series which I kind of have coined the term where it's like you should just buy the concept art book.
Yeah.
You'll have much more fun.
More enjoyment from that.
You get more enjoyment looking at what could have been than what actually became. But yeah, but it happens sometimes. Sometimes the process is better than the outcome, because some people get lost in translation.
It's a shame though. Hopefully they learn from this though. Like if they do another season, then hopefully they'll...
They probably will, because Netflix will give anyone a second season, even if it's complete garbage. But yeah, let's move on to... I guess we can talk about futuristic-esque stuff, and that is going to be the possible bill that might be passed on banning loot boxes and microtransactions within games. Now, if you do know of games, which I'd imagine pretty much everyone in this world knows the concept of a video game, whether that's a console or a computer or on your phone, you know that microtransactions have unfortunately become a big part of games now, where it's just, essentially pay to win, unfortunately. And I mean, I usually don't, because the whole crux is we have Josh Haley, who is a US senator who is proposing a bill to essentially get rid of them from video games. Now,
it's the name of it though. It's the
name,
the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act. It's like, whoa. Okay.
Yeah. Now, because here's my thing with this whole situation is, I usually don't trust like these American senators, because they usually, they kind of just come off with this whole like, ban this, I don't understand this, get rid of it kind of stuff, and they come across as very power hungry and kind of ignorant towards things they don't always understand. I mean, it's happened with video games a lot in the past. It's happened with Pokemon. It's happened with anything that becomes a big deal for the most part. And although I don't agree with a lot of his comments, like the actual naming of the bill, because yes,
anyone hearing that, they would just think of something else. It's not necessarily... It's a bit weird.
Like, I don't understand why it's not called like the banning of proposed gambling in video games towards children, which as the name, if it was just that name, I would be on board for that.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm not on board with a lot of his comments, and the way he kind of talks about things does, like I said, come across as very ignorant, like he doesn't actually understand what's going on. But some of his comments are very bizarre, which you can read in the in the article which we provided. But I'm all for getting rid of like microtransactions and loot boxes, because I do feel in a way that they've really damaged the video game industry in such a such a bad way, as an industry and as an art form, because a lot of games nowadays, their only real inception is, oh well, we can just add in microtransactions and we can do this. I mean, and it's not just like iPhone games, it's more AAA games. And you know, I'm not going to bore people with examples to that. I'll just use the most popular term, the most common, or the more, I'm trying to think of the example. I think of the more well-known ones being, let's say, Fortnite and EA's Star Wars Battlefront, which had probably some of the worst examples, and they had the biggest attention. I mean, Fortnite is regarded as a terrible game because of every child is playing it, but it does have those like loot boxes stuff, and EA's Battlefront was just an absolute disaster, where it was just, you know, it took, I think people did the research, and it was going to take months to maybe even years to unlock characters that you could just pay for.
Yeah.
You know, it's a disgusting, scammy process, and I'm not really saying I support this because I'm like, oh, for the children. I'm more supporting it for this is ruining the game
industry. Yeah,
it's ruining the game industry.
It does take something away though, because it's like it takes all of the hard work and all of the like maybe character progression or character build up, and it's, I don't know, it is making it easy, but it's also, it's kind of stripping the game apart. There's no real purpose.
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
And I think it can go down that end. It's a bit sad.
And that does affect like the value of a game as well, because especially if a game is just on a disc as an empty shell, and it's like, oh, you got to buy all the content. A good example being Street Fighter 5, where there's hardly any characters in this, and as we all know, there's like about 50 to maybe even 80 Street Fighter characters, and when they released that game on disc, it had like about maybe 5, and they're slowly just releasing the characters, and it's like, because they want the game to last 10 years, you know. Excuse me, but, you know, I'm more happy for these scams to be completely removed, because, I mean, no one really likes, like, being blocked out of content behind like a pay-to-win wall, because like I think you already said, you know, there's no purpose, there's no progression, you know. And you know, it's not fun, which is what games should be, and it takes the fun out of it when, you know, it's, you know, no one likes waiting, simply put. And I mean, no one's gonna miss these things. I mean, I don't, and that's the interesting thing about this. I don't think anyone is really gonna be going, no, I need my microtransactions. No one who's actively plays games is going to be like, no, I love waiting for content. I love paying £50 for new characters. No one is going to do that, so they won't be missed, which I think is quite interesting. And I do, one thing I do wonder as well is if they do pass this and they do remove like loot boxes and microtransactions, you know, would the game industry be damaged forever, and will it even recover? Because way too many games rely on it now. Because a lot of games are released for free with the intent of you paying real money for skins, for content. So would something like Fortnite, would that even exist? You know, because are they just essentially giving away a free game at this point? Would Fortnite then cost real money? To which then would people go, I'm not paying £20 for a vapid third-person shooter that doesn't do anything and has no story, you know? That's the question. Like, you know, is there going to be a fight back from these higher-ups in the industry? Go, no, we need these because this is all we got. I mean, the video game industry is in an extremely dire situation, which Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo won't tell you about because, you know, obviously they want you to think everything is great. But, you know, it's interesting. So we definitely want to bring this up. There's not too much to talk about it technically because it's not happened yet. We're just, you know, theorizing, giving you the information. But be interesting to let us know. I mean, I'd imagine if you're a gamer, you're all for getting rid of these kinds of things. If you're not, let me know. That'd be pretty interesting. You can email us at raccoonplusfriends@gmail.com. Let's move on to our news stories and topics. And I have the first trailer, which is definitely up my streak. And that is Genndy Tartakovsky's, I believe I said that correctly, Primal. Now, this is the teaser trailer for his next animated series, which is going to be on Adult Swim. Like most animators, Tartakovsky work is more famous than himself, because I think most people are like, who the hell was this man? I mean, he was the creator and director of Dexter's Lab. He worked and created Samurai Jack. He did Star Wars The Clone Wars, which is the 2003 to 2005 series, not to be confused with the actual animated film they did, and other things labeled The Clone Wars as well, like the actual film, I believe. This is, well, The Clone Wars, or his Clone Wars, I still think is probably one of the best related things to do with Star Wars, period. And I think it's the second best Star Wars thing ever next to Star Wars dub. And if anyone knows what Star Wars dub is, they know that's the real stuff right there. But he also worked on Symbiotic Titan, which is the very famous cartoon that got cancelled after a year because Cartoon Network couldn't find a toy line, so they cancelled it. And as well as the Hotel Transylvania films. Yeah, he did all three of those.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why they're actually
Wow.
good in terms of animation. Maybe not necessarily anything else. But,
Okay.
yeah, so he definitely has, and I only just scratched the surface. He's worked on tons of shows like Powerpuff Girls, Cow and Chicken. You know, he weirdly was...
I love Cow and Chicken.
Yeah, back in the day.
I forgot about that.
Cow and Chicken back in the day. I think, weirdly enough, I did some research, or he also was like the concept designer for Iron Man 2 as well.
Oh.
And he also... there's something else he did, which I'm trying to remember, which I can't think of right now. He also, weirdly enough, was the animation timer for the Steven Universe pilot.
Oh.
Weirdly enough.
Whoa.
So he's done a lot of stuff.
He's up there.
He is up there, and he's very underrated. And I think the main reason he's not talked about as much is because of his second name.
Right.
Because it is a bit tricky to say, because we might be saying it incorrectly. But we're going to say Genndy from now on.
Genndy, yeah.
So,
Genndy.
what did you think of this trailer?
I liked it. As soon as I saw it, I thought, okay, Samurai Jack vibes, but with dinosaurs.
Big time.
Like lone warrior, just on a mission. But no, I'm hyped for it. Okay, it's a teaser. It doesn't give much away, but it looks exciting.
It does look exciting, and I think given a lot of his work has a great sense of like aspect of like scale and speed, something that's very split second, like the environment of like the brutal primeval. Prehistoric like survival time is a perfect setting for his like style of work, because like even just that ending scene where like he is just like stabbing that dinosaur, there was like so much energy and strength in every blow that you felt that you were like, good lord, like he was going, that was anger right there. You felt that.
I'm actually hyped for that scene.
It's a two-part special right there. Just labeled T-Rex. And you're like, oh shit.
Because he went for a few blows, didn't he? It was like...
Yeah. He went for like about 3 blows, and then he was like, he just sped up and hit him with like 8.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. But then again, you gotta be, if there's a T-Rex or whatever wild animal was attacking, you gotta go for it. Otherwise, you just might as well die. And that's definitely coming through in a lot of his work, because I don't know what's this. Whoever this character is, he's obviously having a bad day because everything is after him.
Yeah, literally.
But it's crazy, and it should be very interesting how violent it is coming off Samurai Jack's fifth and last season, where they were able to implement like violence or blood, I guess you could say, which is good that more people aren't as afraid to like do it. I mean, Adult Swim has always been fine with it. Netflix to an extent has always been fine with it, and I guess comedy channels like Fox and Comedy Central are okay with it. But it's good that more people are like a little bit more accepting of like realistic, I guess, violence, because it would be a bit silly if he was like, like that scene stabbing a dinosaur in the head and there was no blood coming out. People would be like, what? Or like change it green, like some other cartoons did back in the day. Oh, he didn't kill that person. But it's going to be interesting. I'm glad. And also, one thing I wanted to add as well, I'm really glad that it's a more like colorful and cinematic looking prehistoric time. I think a lot of people slip up with the whole prehistoric look when they just make it like, it's to be bland and boring, drab, and
it was quite vibrant, wasn't it?
It was extremely vibrant, excuse me. Some nice use of color, not just on the dinosaurs but the environment as well. So it'd definitely be nice to see more of that. It'd definitely be a good series to just look at. Like not to discredit the series, but it'd definitely be a good computer wallpaper series where it's like, oh, that shot's sick, make that my background.
True.
Which is great. But yeah, not too much to say about this other than pretty damn hyped for the summer. I'm really looking forward to this series. But I believe we have the next story now. I think it's time for me to not talk as much.
No, up next it's Black Mirror, so season 5. So we watched the season 5 trailer. Now, admittedly, I've only seen the movie that they've done, so I haven't watched any of the seasons.
Oh, I thought you had.
But no, so I might check this one out, actually. It does look interesting. Setup is 3, it looks like 3 separate stories. I'm not sure if they've always done it like that, or if this is the new...
Well, I have a theory, but go on.
And again, I don't know if those 3 stories are going to be connected or linked in any way. But the first story, it looks like some man captures another guy, and he's got a gun, and he's a threat to the public, and all of that's going on. Bit of madness. Second story looks to be about a family and possibly a disappointing marriage. Third story is a sinister robot doll owned by a girl. But they all center around technology and the future of technology and perhaps the violence that it can create. Or...
Yeah, the first story doesn't give the biggest influence of technology. If you think about it just as the guy having the guy as a hostage, you're like, what's, you know, it can be implied that because there's one scene where he's like really freaking out and he's like, everyone has it, you know. So obviously
like everyone's logged in or something like
that, which is a very interesting line that it's, and a very interesting concept that it's that's what I'd imagine in their world is the norm has driven this one man to madness
like that.
And it's like, that's very interesting. How comes no others have been like this? You know, what's so special about him? What's unusual or normal about this technology, let's just say. And that's the story I'm actually interested the most in, because I want to see what happens.
I think so, because I think there's more potential for that story. The other two, I don't know.
Been there, done that. Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they're very standard for Black Mirror, and which I'm like, you know, this Black Mirror technology is evil, you know. But this is like, whoa, what's happening here? Which I have watched all of Black Mirror, funny enough, except for Bandersnatch. So we kind of complement each other in some sense. So I was definitely very looking forward to season 5, and I'm very disappointed with just 3 episodes, because it honestly feels like they're
so it's literally going to be 3 episodes.
Seems so, but given the trailers, I have a feeling that might be a lie to some extent. And my theory is that my 2 theories is they're going to be, all 3 are going to be movie length.
Right.
/ there's other stories in these stories.
Okay.
That's my theory, because they show too much. Like if you said, like, if they didn't say it was 3 episodes, I would assume that's 8.
Right. Okay.
Because there's things that don't quite match up. So if we were to take all the scenes we've seen, so let's take the guy and the gun and the hostage. That can be linked to the people on the phone. So let's say that's 1 episode. Then we've got the girl and the android. Then we also have the relationship with the family. Then we also have these weird scenes of the celebrity in that. You know, and then we have the scenes of the guy doing the VR.
Yes.
That doesn't sound like 3 episodes or look like 3 episodes to me. So they're interwoven in some extent, not unless they've weirdly shown more episodes of season 5 or something like that and just not told anyone.
That'd be cool to see what they do then.
Yeah, because I am interested. I do want to quickly say I do think that they're kind of holding back on us. I think they're kind of downsizing the season again. They're kind of giving us these mini collections, which I kind of don't like. I'd rather them just go, oh, here's the actual season 5. Netflix has a very bad reputation of doing that and then ruining the pace of shows. Granted, it's an anthology series, so there isn't too much of a pace to be ruined because it's not a connecting story. But my kind of issue is, if they're going to do 3 episodes and they're going to be movie length, I don't understand, and they want to pad it out, I don't understand why they don't just release 1 a month. Why don't they just release all of Black Mirror? Because I can guarantee you guys, there is more than 3 episodes to season 5. This is just fluff. They've already recorded more. They've just gone, oh, come on, we need more episodes, record the season 5. You know, instead of waiting for the rest to be finished, because I guarantee you in 3 months' time, season 6 will be out this year. I guarantee you. I would rather them just do it, because then it'll be a little bit more of a talking point. It'll be a bit more of an event. Have you seen the new Black Mirror episode? It's out today. Here's the trailer for it. Everyone's talking about it. You have all eyes on Netflix every month. You know, so I kind of don't understand why they didn't go about this. And I think given season 5 and comparing it to Bandersnatch, is this gonna seem like bland in comparison? Because that's the worry now. Have they gone?
That's it.
Have they gone to the utmost point where just doing a Black Mirror episode isn't enough for audiences? You know, are we going to look at these episodes and go, that was standard, not as good as Bandersnatch? You know, that's my theory to some extent. And I do wonder what is going to happen in these seasons, because like I said, the one with the man and the gun does seem like the most interesting one. I thought the one with the robot and the the music video thing was a bit too flashy, and I was like,
I know, right?
I mean, I do like how cinematic the series is looking. It does look quite nice. It looks very well shot. We've come a long way now. It's nice to see the series has a more stable budget.
Yeah.
One thing I am worried about is the whole VR-ish episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they kind of... And given how poorly the episode playtest turned out, where it tried to tackle VR and video games, I'm extremely worried about this episode, because that whole scene where it was like a fighting video game looked really bad.
Yeah, it did.
and this is not just me, because I'd imagine some people are going to go, oh, that's the point. It's meant to look like a generic video game because it's VR.
Mm.
It looked gimmicky. It looked poorly lit.
Yeah.
And the special effects were extremely bad. Like, there are VR games that have better effects than in that show. So given that this is the future, I don't understand why this looks like trash. I've seen better fan-made videos mimicking video games. There is a very good... If you type in Street Fighter movie live action, there's a really good one. They actually had live action actors doing all the moves from Street Fighter mimicking Ryu and Ken. And it looks way better than this. Please do. I think you'll be able to find it. It's the one with the most views, like Street Fighter versus Ken, Street Fighter short film, something like that. So... I don't know. It's going to be divisive. I think a lot of people are going to flock to this series, with the whole... A lot of people like to go, it's the darkest thing ever. Open my eyes up. Technology's evil. Black Mirror is an interesting series, not just for those reasons, because it's always changing. The main issue I have is that it's possibly getting old now. Especially those 2 episodes. I mean, we've already done robots, and we've already done VR poorly.
Yeah.
So... We'll just have to see. I can't wait for season 6 and 7 that'll be dropping later this year, because that's what's going to happen, I'm afraid. Or Bandersnatch 2 or whatever they're going to be doing.
Whatever happens with that, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know what... I think they had plans to do more things like Bandersnatch, because I think Bandersnatch is technically season 5 as well.
Yeah, right.
And even then I'm like, is it? But whatever. It's all mixed up for the most part.
We'll see what happens. We've got Miley Cyrus in there. You never know.
Is she?
She can bring something to it.
Is she actually in there?
Yeah, and Anthony Mackie is in there as well.
Oh, so. I thought we were joking.
No.
I thought they looked at like generic music video and went, "Oh, it looks like Miley Cyrus," because she's, her music's nothing. That's what I thought.
You never know. She might sell it to you.
No, not doing that. Not doing that. Let's move on to our next trailer, which is simply just titled Watchmen. I believe based on the original comic of the same name, Watchmen, I think. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really know what this is meant to be within the Watchmen universe, and I honestly don't care. This just looked okay.
Yeah.
It's weird, because I think the intention of this series is to modernize Watchmen in today's time, which I guess that's fine. It was written in the 80s, sure. But I think the way they're going about trying to do this in terms of, let's make it more about radical extremist political groups, and how messed up America is, and it just it really feels played out now. It ironically feels old, because that's not scary anymore. That's not interesting. For the last 6 years, people have been making stories about American politics and radical figureheads within politics. People have made commentary about Trump-like figures and alt-right movements, and here's my new bad guy in my new show. He's alt-right and he doesn't care. It's boring now. And for this series to do this, it's just I've already seen this.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? The Purge films have done this 5 times now. I mean, American Horror Stories had a crack at it, as well as I think even the new Twilight series had a crack at it. Everyone's done this. It's boring now. You're already out of date. And I understand you just want to show the Rorschach mask and you want to go, look, it's Watchmen. I don't give a shit about Watchmen. And it's a massive shame, because if you'd done this maybe 15 years ago, you probably would have made one of the best TV shows of all time.
Yeah, that's true.
But
it's done.
but you're already out of date. Yeah. You're you messed up. There isn't really anything that I thought was interesting other than some of the editing, and that's about it. Because other than this, I don't know what this is. I don't know who this is for. I don't even think audiences will really get this. I think this is honestly just a show for comic book fans to go, oh, look, did you see that reference to the comic book? Oh.
Yeah.
You know, and rubbish like that, because I think audiences are going to go, what the fuck is this?
Why now, really? Like, why?
Because Watchmen...
If you're not bringing anything new,
Watchmen is still profitable. They have butchered the Watchmen series big time, and they're going to do it again. I don't know what this is. I'm sure someone's going to go, oh, this is actually based on that. I don't give a shit, simply put. Because it looks bad. I don't care. You can base it on anything. I don't really care. If it looks bad, it's bad.
It's bad. Exactly.
Do you have any thoughts on this series?
I mean, the only thing... I guess because it was a teaser trailer, wasn't it? It wasn't a trailer. I'm interested to see what path they go down.
But it kind of looks like they already seem to show the path it goes down.
I'm hoping that's not just it, though. I'm hoping there's something else, because I don't know.
But then why would they show that as if it's like, look how impressive it is. Look at this. Oh, we're doing the alt-right cult thing. Oh. Isn't it cool that Rorschach has now started a cult-like movement? Isn't this cool? Oh, we got to take on that guy.
Yeah.
It's like, if that wasn't the point of the series, why would they show it? Wouldn't you want to hide that or hint at it?
I don't know. I'm hoping. I mean, it's got Regina King in, which I like. Although I like her, she's not going to be the thing that makes me go, oh, I really need to see this.
I need to watch Watchmen.
Yeah, that's it. But hey, I don't know.
I'll
check out the first
That's what it
episode.
looks like, a rip-off of V for Vendetta. Yeah, which is also written by the same guy who wrote the original Watchmen comic.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like just ripping off his work again.
God.
Yeah, because as we all know, all revolutionary movements need an icon mask. Much like the V for Vendetta mask, we got to use the Rorschach mask now. It's boring. You want to take the next train?
Moving on.
Moving on to something. Well, I don't even know if it even gets better. From
comedy.
Yeah, comedy. Yeah,
perhaps.
I don't know.
It Chapter 2. So trailer came out. When did it come out? A couple of weeks ago now, maybe
a week. I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know. The Losers Club are back together. Having not seen the original movie, TV show.
It was a TV movie.
TV
it's about
movie.
3 hours long.
Oh god, wow. I don't know why the Losers Club are back together. So they're like what, late 30s maybe. They've come back for some reason. I'm not sure, but interesting to hear why.
I can tell you why.
Oh, go for it.
The reason why is because at the end of the story of the film, or whichever film you want to regard, they say as kids, if it ever comes back, we'll come back to finish the job.
How do they know it's come back? Okay, I'll check it out.
They're probably going to change how exactly they know it. Because I think in the original story, I can't remember what it is. I think they just get signs or something like that, or someone else gets killed. One of the main characters is going to get killed. Oops, spoilers. The film is like almost 30 years old. Yes, one of the main characters dies, and if you didn't look at the trailer close enough, you can kind of tell who already died. So yeah, one of them does eventually die. Almost all of them die actually, but I don't care. It's an old film, so you can't complain, and they're already changing up anyway.
But see, now this is why it's silly, because if you say they know it's back. Okay, so the trailer starts off with, what's her name? Beverly Marsh. So she goes back to her old home.
Yeah.
Alone. And there's an elderly woman living there now, also it seems. And she gets pally-pally with her, and they have tea and sit down and whatever. Now, spoiler, the elderly woman isn't an elderly woman. I'll leave it at that. If they know that it is back, or Pennywise is back, why would you be... I wouldn't be alone. I wouldn't be going into some dusty house alone.
No.
I'd have backup. I'd have weapons.
Within the original story, I do have a lot of issues with her character, because her character is a bit weird.
Yeah.
Her character, in some aspects, is portrayed as a bit of a... I'm trying to think of the right word, but I'll be polite about it and say someone who goes from guy to guy.
Okay, right.
And her character is not very smart to some extent. But nor is the clown. Because as much as I appreciate the fact that this trailer decided to go, let's take this one scene and let's use that as the teaser, and then we'll show some clips after, to actually, kind of show that there's tension, there's, other aspects, we can be well paced in that kind of sense before we decide to completely just become a generic horror film once again and use the same shots we did in the first film, because that worked in the first film.
Yeah.
I've run out of ideas as
This is
the
the thing.
director.
Did they use the same shots or did they recreate the shots? This is what I was confused.
No,
on
they're
as well.
using the same style. The shot where that monster is coming at it, and it's a POV shot that was in the first film. So it's the studio, him going, people really like that, so let's do that again, but better.
Right.
The director, I can't remember his name. He's a hack, simply put. He made a subpar horror film that people really liked. I'm sorry, guys. It's
I wouldn't even
not
call it horror. Comedy.
It's a comedy.
I'm going for the laughs.
It was hilarious how this film like destroyed itself on various occasions, where you look at it and go, "Wow, that's a really good scene." Oh, you completely wet the bed. Congratulations. That whole scene didn't make a lot of sense because. So first of all, like, was the clown just waiting there?
This is it.
Like, I know some people are gonna start thinking and going, "Wait a minute, that makes no sense." Yeah. How long has the clown exactly been waiting there? Did it like find out she entered the town and then go, right, I'm going to hide in the house? Which, to be fair, that would make sense that the clown would assume she would go back there first, because a lot of we know a lot of her fears, without spoiling anything, come from that house. So it makes sense why the clown would go, oh, she'll go back there. There's a good chance she'll go back there. At the same time, the amount of time it's possibly been waiting there, posing as an old woman. You think it's
been there for a while, though, right?
It seems like it.
Yeah.
Possibly been waiting there for hours, days, maybe. It could have been very easily out on the streets killing other children that would be considered easy prey, you know, easy meals for it, as opposed to trying to attack this one person who defeated you in the past and has proved to be one of the stronger characters mentally, yet you want to waste your time randomly putting on a show that she's not even going to even look at, because this thing is doing all this crazy kind of transformation, scary things. No one is going to stand there and look at you put on a show. And that's one of the biggest issues with the film, is the clown is retarded. It's one of the most unreliable and dumbest villains, where it's more interested in putting on a spectacle that no one will watch. Yeah. And it's ridiculous. And it does the same thing here. It could have killed her immediately.
This is it.
And it can do that, because we do see that in the very opening of the film. Yeah. It can kill people instantaneously. Yeah. Yet it doesn't. It decides to actually let its prey go, and then it wonders why it has a hard time killing people. It's ridiculous. And the whole film falls apart to this one scene exactly, because it makes absolutely no sense. The only thing I will give this film some credit is it seems that they are changing what the clown is. Now, in the original story, the clown is essentially a godlike entity. That's what it is. It's a god alien entity.
And in this one, it's an old woman.
No, I think what they're going to be doing with it is I think they're going to try and imply that it's more of a Freddy Krueger-esque thing, because you see the photo and it looks more human, so it's like a demon or something like that, which the ending of the original book and the original TV movie is dumb, because what it is just a big spider. That's what it is. It's just a spider, which is extremely anticlimactic, given it can do all these crazy things, and its true form is a spider. So I am perfectly fine with them changing its backstory, because that is dumb. But at the same time, this film still looks pretty stupid, and it looks very frustrating. Yeah.
Frustrating.
It's frustrating.
That's the word I use.
And it's tiring, because it's like she could just leave the house. Like, she obviously knows something's wrong. She just leave. I mean, why don't you just? I hope she told someone she was going there. But it is kind of stupid. They didn't show too much, and I didn't really like any shots. It kind of looked all the same. It looks very vapid, honestly. It's funny, and I'm going to say this now, because this film is going to come out, and people aren't going to like it. This film is going to come out, and people are going to say it's not as good as the first. Yeah. And that's perfect. Because the moment people start saying that, I have one, and I'm going to say this when people say it, I'm going to say, well, looks just as good as the first. It was just as good as the first. It's just as good. And that's going to make people think, hey, wait a minute, the first one actually was shit. Because the film was shit. I'm sorry, it's rubbish. Yeah. And also, this is also funny enough, from the producers of Pet Sematary, you know, that really good film. Oh God, yeah. I want to see that on the poster. Yeah, this will be the last Stephen King film, because all of them have been rubbish, lackluster and boring. But I just thought this trailer was like so dumb, and the hype behind it is so pointless. I mean, there's way better films out.
Yeah.
Especially horror films.
Yeah.
But it just looks so dumb. It's more or less disappointment part 2.
Yeah,
really. That's what
disappointment.
It disappoints, basically. Because that's what it is. The whole series has, most of Stephen King's adaptations have done the same as well. It is boring and generic, honestly. Anything else you want to add to this trailer?
I mean, no. Just go for the laughs.
So I wouldn't pay money for it. I'd watch it on a plane again.
Yeah.
Because I watched the first one on a plane and I was like, I want to go sleep.
I watched it to fall asleep too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can't sleep, watch it.
Yeah, can't sleep, watch it. You know, you'll be asleep within the first 10 minutes. Yeah, instead of sleeping pills, just here's a copy of It 2017 or whenever it came out. Oh god, it looks so bad. But then again, the masses know what they want, and the industry knows what the masses want, and they want schlock.
Obviously.
But anyway, I think that's almost the end of the podcast. We got the video of the episode, which is going to be Flying Lotus featuring Anderson Paak with More. To use the Mr. Krabs More. No, More, just normally. And this is the, funny enough, an animated music video for one of the songs coming off his 5th, I think, studio album. I cannot remember the name of the album, sorry. But interestingly enough, I will say, before anyone does go and watch this video, if you are necessarily not a big fan of, I guess, body transformations / body horror, maybe just listen to the song. Just type in Flying Lotus using Anderson Paak More and just listen to the song. Because the actual song, the music video doesn't play the whole song, basically.
No, I got that feeling as well. It was shorter than
There's a little bit more before
right.
the actual song starts with the music video. But interesting use of animation for the most part. I really
like the animation.
Liked it. It was really good.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, the person who directed the animation is Shinichiro Watanabe, who directed Cowboy Bebop.
Oh.
As well as other things. Yes, he is the director of Cowboy Bebop and creator of Cowboy Bebop, as well as Space Dandy, Samurai Champloo, and a few other notable animations, as well as he also did the with Flying Lotus as well. He also did the Blade Runner 20-something animation as well. And, funny enough, Flying Lotus and him will also be collaborating again this year in the anime Charlotte and Tuesday, which is a musical-based anime.
Cool.
So this is a power team.
Damn. Powerhouse, boy.
Powerhouse for the most part. I love the music video. I love the song.
Yeah.
And
the song was good, wasn't it?
The song was good.
Chill.
It was groovy.
It was nice.
Anderson Paak was a perfect choice. If you're not listening to Anderson Paak, you need to get off whatever rubbish you're listening to and start listening to Anderson Paak. Oh gosh, but good stuff. I wanted to definitely recommend that music video because it is some good stuff, and it actually is a good testament of good animation that actually incorporates love, death, and robots. Wow. Funny how it all ties back at the end of the podcast. Don't watch Love, Death, Robots. Watch this music video instead.
It was. I was not expecting the body mutation thing, but it kind of reminded me of Annihilation in terms of turning it. I don't know if it's exactly nature, but just transforming into something, because it looks like a burning tree. It's not exactly a tree.
It's like a tree of organs or something, but it's hard to say.
It is. But
for anyone who isn't too familiar with Flying Lotus's stuff, a lot of his stuff is kind of morbid. There is a fascination with the unknown. There is a fascination with death. Yeah. I mean, his last album that precedes this one was literally called You're Dead.
Whoa.
And the album cover literally had a drawn illustration of, I presume is what his head is his face, with a hole in the middle of it.
Wow, okay.
And it was a very utopian kind of, high aspect, I guess, concept for the most part. Once again, drawn by another a Japanese illustrator who does do very psychedelic and morbid artwork. I can't remember his exact name, but if you type in Dilemma 21, he wrote that manga.
Okay.
Which is a very interesting one about paranoia and psychedelic visuals. So yeah, it's very interesting. Really good stuff. His album's out next week.
Okay.
And I am looking forward to it. But anything else you'd like to add to this podcast before we wrap it up?
No, all good. I mean, looking forward to the next one, whenever that be. That
will be in 2 weeks' time, my friend. On the dot. But yeah, thank you, Recess, for being on the podcast.
It's a pleasure, as always.
I think it's been a bit of a blast.
Yeah.
This one, we've joked a bit too much. We've taken the piss out of certain things.
Yeah.
I'm sure plenty of people are going to be angry coming off this podcast.
Don't be angry.
Well, just say that about Watchmen. Watchmen is great. Or how
Until you watch it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Until you, come watch it and tell me how you liked it, yeah? Or how can you say that about It Part 2? It's the best film ever. You know, it's funny because I do record these podcasts and I go, when I say a film's going to be bad or this or that, and then it's like everyone goes, this film was rubbish, man. How did no one tell me that it was rubbish? And I was like, you know, I did record a podcast where I said it was rubbish.
Check that out.
The
thing is as well, though, if these things are actually good, we will say that. We will backtrack and say, okay, no, actually, what we said before, we didn't give it a chance, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, usually we're right.
At the end of the day, I think we should leave it on that note. On that note, I was the Angry Raccoon.
I was Recess.
And we will see you on the next factually correct episode of the podcast. All right, laters, guys.
Laters.